So as I mentioned in part one, the big distinction in terms of avoiding any kind of bias is separating self-administered interviews versus interviews that are done with an interviewer. And as I mentioned as well, we will often do what we call hybrids, where we'll leverage the cost benefits as well as the geographical benefits of online. And when I say geographical benefits, I mean that I can talk to people anywhere in the world with a quick click of a button and send them a link to a survey. But we often will mix those. In other words, we might have a sample of, let's say, 300 online interviews, to throw out a number, and then 300 intercept interviews in certain selected markets. Now, those are definitely have their limitations and their biases as well, because if I'm going to go to a certain city, I'm limited geographically. One way that we get around that is if I'm going to be in a city, we will go to multiple locations. In other words, I'm not going to be at the same street corner, one single street corner in Houston or Chicago. We'd like to go to maybe 4 or 5 different distinct locations to get a mix. There's nothing representative about a sample like that, by the way. But what it does have the advantage of having is it represents people that might not be included in an online survey. Or, as we'll talk about next week with telephone, it would represent people that may not respond to a telephone survey. Okay, so next week we're going to talk about telephone interviewing, and we're also going to talk about online interviewing, which again is often done via panels. But I would prefer you to make the distinction again between the self-administered interview, which might be a paper and pencil type of interview, but it might also be an online interview, and it might even be an in-person interview whereby the interviewer might hand an iPad over to the person that they have intercepted and have them complete the survey themselves in the street or in a mall location. On the other hand, you have the administrator or the interviewer administered interview, whereby you have an interviewer asking the questions, because there are some real biases there that can evolve. So that's all I'd like you to keep in mind for this week. Again, next week we'll talk about telephone and online, and I hope you all have a great week. Thanks.